All right, so today's question is, does big alcohol hide the truth about brain damage? So listen, anything that I tell you here, I mean, I haven't got any insights into anything specific, right? Anything I talk about here is going to be conjecture and my opinion for what it's worth. But I've got a lot of opinions and they're based around big tobacco mostly. And if they've been doing it, then, you know, the likelihood or the possibility that big alcohol are also doing something similar is quite high, right? So big tobacco, if we go back to that, they suppressed a lot of research data that said that alcohol was causing lung cancer and other diseases, right? And you know, by people smoking their product, and they denied it for many years. There was plenty of evidence. There was plenty of internal documents leaked. There was a lot of court cases, and eventually, like I said, after many years, they had to admit what they'd done, and they had to pay out huge sums in settlement to class action lawsuits. Now, I don't know whether they made more money in profits than they paid out in fines, but it is what it is, right? As far as alcohol and brain damage is concerned, there's certainly a lot of evidence pointing that way, that alcohol is causing brain damage, right? There was a study done in Oxford in England not too long ago, which pointed to no safe level of alcohol consumption, right, for brain health. But there's been, you know, various studies done over the years that point to whatever, you know, health in general, people's health in general, that, you know, alcohol is a toxin, there's no safe level for it. So there's different types of brain damage from alcohol, of course. I think two of the worst are Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome and alcoholic dementia, and they're pretty bad. You know, you don't want to get them yourself. You don't want to see somebody who you love who has one of these diseases, right? I don't know which is worse, you know, getting it yourself and starting to lose your memory, or just seeing somebody that you love gradually losing their memory. Now, as to whether the alcohol industry are hiding these truths, I mean, you know, I'd say that if they knew something, they wouldn't be the first one to announce it to the world, right? You know, I think that's something that we can all be sure of. And, you know, back in the day when the tobacco industry, like I said, the risk of damage was denied vigorously, and that's until they couldn't deny it anymore. I think with big alcohol, it's a lot more nuanced than that. You know, they gradually, or in general, they admit to health risks to excessive drinking, including brain damage, all other kinds of things. You know, they'll be the first ones to point out that, yeah, if you drink a lot of alcohol and you drink heavily, then there's a risk that you're going to get cirrhosis of the liver, and they can't deny that, right? The risks are there, right, for everyone to see. But it's all about how they are presenting the information. I think that's where some of the deception comes in. You know, you'll notice that whenever they promote social drinking, they also give it out as a message of responsible drinking. You know, you won't hear them talking too much about the damage that heavy drinking can do. You know, they're not forced to do that yet. And they also fund quite a bit of research. And, you know, if they're funding the research, then the results of the research can be altered or fudged. You know, they can fudge the figures. I'm not saying that they're doing that, but, you know, it's kind of like if you want positive research or proper research done, you don't give it to the people who are going to benefit most from having research that's pointing the other way, right? So, you know, that's showing that there's less harm and more benefits to alcohol. So, again, you know, they'll focus their research mostly on moderate drinking, right? They're not going to spend a lot of money researching into the effects of heavy drinking, right? Because they don't want that kind of advertising. But they do know that once you take a drink, and I'm not going to the AA thing here, right? Well, you know, all it takes is one drink, and I'm saying that just as a normal drinker, when you have one drink, your inhibitions drop a little bit, and that second drink is a little bit easier to take, and the third drink is a little bit easier than the second drink, if you get what I mean. And the alcohol companies know that fine well. So I think there's regulation coming. I think it's inevitable that regulation comes that will go in the same way as the cigarette companies, and I don't think it's going to be pretty. You know, just look at how many health warnings there are already on cigarette packets. right? Some of them are pretty graphic depending on where you live. I mean, I think in Ireland at the moment they've got the cigarettes are under the counter. They've got absolutely no branding on them at all. I'm not sure if they've got these horrible pictures on them. I'm presuming that they have, but they're just white packets, I think, right? I think that's Ireland. And, you know, the same eventually is going to happen to alcohol. And again, going back to Ireland, my own home country, it's already starting there. You know, they're starting to add warning labels to alcohol products, right? To, you know, so you won't be able to get a bottle of wine in Ireland or a can of beer or whatever it is. I'm not sure if they're going to force companies to add that to older wines, right? I think if you've produced a wine before a certain year, then you won't have to put it. But in terms of hiding the truth, I don't think that they can get anywhere near the levels of deception that that big alcohol was able to achieve. But again, it's all about how they frame these things. You know, let's say that they're very strategic about the information that they present and how it's presented. But like anything that we're talking about here, it doesn't matter what the alcohol companies say, what big alcohol says, what the marketing says, as long as you refuse to participate. You know, if you don't put the alcohol into your mouth, you're golden. You know, nobody's going to come down and force this shit down your throat, right? So all big alcohol can do is try to sweet talk you as much as possible. And if you fall for that, well, you know, that's up to you. So it's all about freedom of choice, isn't it? Freedom of choice, and you make your choice and you take the consequences thereof. You know, choices and trade-offs. Take care, and I'll speak to you again in the next video. Onwards and upwards, eh? Bye now.